Hey there guys, welcome back to AFC Game by Game. In this video, I'll be bringing you 5 players that I think need to make an impact at Arsenal in 2018-19. In at number 5, I know this one will undoubtedly cause controversy, but I'm going to go with Mesut Özil, a player that goes into this season on the back of what was a very disappointing campaign with Germany, and his name is absolutely surrounded by controversy at the minute, but also a great deal of appraisal. He goes into this season with so much support behind him, having retired from the German national team, given everything that's gone on there, and it's a season where I think he really needs to be making a staple of himself at Arsenal. He's been at the club 5 years now. He's one of the more senior players, coming up to 30 years old. We all know his creativity, we all know his talent, we all know that he can be consistent on his day. He's a player that has got brilliant players in front of him in Lacazette, Aubameyang, Henry Mkhitaryan, and even Aaron Ramsey if he commits his future to the club. And he's a player that should be the talisman at Arsenal. I want to see him get a run of games, and I want to see him performing at the highest level at Arsenal throughout 2018-19, and that's why I've got him down at number 5. At number 4, I've gone with Rob Holding. Now initially it would have been Callum Chambers, but given his proposed loan move to Fulham, it really does remain to be seen what his future will be at Arsenal if this deal is to go through. So at 4, I've gone with Rob Holding, a player that I think has got so much potential, so much natural ability, and I'm really surprised it's actually him remaining at the club ahead of Callum Chambers. That's not to dismiss Holding at all. I think when he first came into Arsenal, as a young rookie player from Bolton, he performed admirably, especially towards the end of the 2016-17 season. Let's not forget how well he performed in the FA Cup final, shunning Diego Costa. Had a really good game then and made a serious impact. Didn't really go off the rails last year, but he certainly didn't perform to the level or push on to the level that we expected him to. For that reason, I've got him in at number 4, and I really hope this is a big season for him, especially as Emery has given him the trust. And in at number 3, I'm going to go with Granit Xhaka, a player that I absolutely adore, and I want nothing more than to see him do well. He's been at Arsenal for a few years now, and this really is his time to cement himself in midfield. And he was one of our most pivotal players last season. Whatever you think of him, whatever you think of the silly mistakes he makes at times, he was one of our most capped players, if not the most capped. So he's certainly an important part of this Arsenal team, and certainly someone that Arsene Wenger at least showed a lot of faith in. And there's no doubt that that faith has been restored by Emery. He's recently signed a new contract and will be part of Arsenal's future, which I'm really glad to see. And now with Torreira coming in, hopefully with Aaron Ramsey staying, as I previously mentioned, and with Guendouzi coming in as well, who's really excels, I think Granit Xhaka has got all the players around him now to do well in an Arsenal shirt. He's a very good player, let's not forget that. If he gets these silly errors out of his game, then everyone will appreciate what a great player he is. It's just a case of cutting those out. I think he'll do that this season. I think he's got a great potential to succeed as an Arsenal leader in this midfield. Moving on to number 2, a player that I want to do so well this season, and there is so much responsibility and pressure on his shoulders. It is Mustafi, a player that certainly divides opinion, and a player that I think has got so much raw potential. But again, similarly to Granit Xhaka, he's a player that his good work is completely undone by the mistakes he makes at times. The League Cup final really springs to mind. That stupid mistake he made when Sergio Aguero went past him when he thought he'd been fouled. It's just a simple case of playing to the whistle in that instance, but it's not just instances like that. I remember away from home against Chelsea last season, he was absolutely sensational. He's such a 50-50 player, there's no in between. He's really got to be the senior man at Arsenal this year, I believe. He'll be Arsenal's, surprisingly, it's quite mental to think, he'll be one of Arsenal's most senior defenders, even though he's quite young himself. Socrates is there, of course, as well, but I think Mustafi, given that he knows this Arsenal defence better than Socrates at the minute, he's going to be that senior man at the back. With those two working together, I'll be honest, I'm not convinced by it. I think Mustafi's got to do a lot more, and I'm not convinced by Socrates just yet. Them two at the back, I don't think it's a long-term partnership. I still think in the remaining days of the transfer window, we need to bring someone in, but Mustafi is a player that, as I say, has got so much raw ability, so much talent, could be a great ball-playing centre-half, and I really want to see him do well. Just needs to cut these errors out of his game, exactly like Xhaka, and we've got a great defender on our hands. But it's a big season for him, real make or break for me, but he's a player that I want to do nothing but well at Arsenal. And number 1, it's a massive season for this man. It is, of course, Alex Iwobi. Recently signed a new long-term contract with the club. Emery has put a lot of faith in him. He's a homegrown talent. Had a okay World Cup with Nigeria. Got himself some decent minutes, but really didn't make an impact. He didn't really have much of a chance to, given that Nigeria made an exit in the group stage. But he's a player that, given his career has entirely been at Arsenal, he hasn't been anywhere else. He's grown up through the club, been in the first team for over 2 years now. It's really time for him to push on. Last season was really tough to watch for Alex Iwobi, let's be brutally honest. It wasn't his most brilliant campaign, but he was a player similar to Xhaka that played almost every week, to the surprise of many. I don't think Arsene Wenger dealt with Iwobi well, if I'm being honest. He's still very young at 22, he's only just turned 22 as well, and given that he was playing so much throughout last season, when the pressure was on him, I think it maybe would have been better to have taken him out of the squad for a few games, put someone more senior in. We had the options to do that through players like Danny Welbeck, and Iwobi, I certainly think, stalled his progress last year. He's got so much ability, as I've mentioned, with all of these players. players, but to bring it out from midfield, I think is his best position, playing in that number 10 role throughout pre-season. I think that's where he's excelled. I think we're wasting him on the wing. He's someone that's going to drive through the midfield and a player that has got excellent ability in tight spaces. When he's given too much time to think, that's when the problems arise with Alex Iwobi. But it's a big season for him. Again, another player, if he doesn't make it this year, if he doesn't make an impact at the club, I think Emery's going to look at him, and personally, I think he will be given the option to leave next summer. So it's a huge year for him, another player that's got a make or break opportunity. With the more senior players that have come into Arsenal this season, with players like Aubameyang, like Lacazette around him, you'd hope he'd improve, especially with these players bedding into the team a little bit more now. But Arsenal have got options now, and we're not overly reliant on someone like Alex Iwobi to be playing games week in, week out. But that's it. That's my top 5. Let me know your top 5 in the comments box below. Drop a like on this video if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe to AFC Game by Game. And as always, I'll speak to you very, very soon. See you later, guys.